People really understand the key role politics plays in their day-to-day lives. Politics is not just about campaigns, rallies, or who is louder than who, or who is packing more crowds than who. Politics is about leaders we elect, leaders who are supposed to prioritize the needs of the same citizens who put them into power. And this week, as we dive into episode 2 of Keeping Up with Kenya's Political Drama, Kenya might be witnessing one of the toughest economic moments in recent years. Fuel prices have been increased for the second time in less than a month. And suddenly, the price of tomatoes may have only been the beginning. Because once fuel prices go up, everything else follows. Transport, food, electricity, business costs, and ultimately, the burden falls on the common mwananchi. This week, we break down the shocking fuel price hikes and the growing anger from Kenyans, why leaders who once condemned Uhuru Kenyatta over fuel prices have suddenly gone silent. Rigathi Gachagua's explosive allegations against William Ruto's government, the growing opposition alliances slowly uniting against one man, William Ruto. And is Rigathi truly fighting for Kenyans, or is he simply trying to remain politically relevant after falling out with his former boss? The return of conversations around David Maraga and whether a non-politician can actually survive Kenyan politics. The growing cracks inside Orange Democratic Movement as the Odinga's family faces rebellion from within. And the disturbing rise of political intolerance after a woman was allegedly attacked for tattooing Ruto's face on her body.
Nataka niwaambie hii mafuta inaongezwa usiku na mchana. Mimi nataka niwaeleze ya kwamba these people don't understand the damage they are doing to the people and the economy of Kenya. Kwa hii taxes wanaongeza usiku na mchana. Na mimi nataka niwaulize watu wa hapa Manga, tafadhali, mkiona tumesimama hapa mbele yenu, tunawaambia ya kwamba tutengeneze hiyo serikali inakuja.
Mnauza ngapi? Pesa ngapi? Shapanda. Na 46. Hi guys, Eric Omondi here. The cost of living in this country is extremely high. Kila kitu ni expensive. Nyanya imepanda, school fees imepanda, unga imepanda, mafuta imepanda, maisha imepanda. And we must get to a point where we say enough is enough. Because leaders are living in opulence. They're living in luxury. While the common mwananchi, the cost of living is going up every single day. Lazima tufike mahali tuseme enough is enough. And this Monday, hii Monday kama mafuta haijateremka. Hii Monday kama haijateremka. Tupatane tao. Tupatane tao. Hii Monday kama mafuta haijapanda, tupatane tao. Kila mtu abebe kibuyu, usipande matatu, kama utoki mbali tembea na mguu. Tuingie tao. Hapo sawa, hapo sawa.
Because in Kenya, politics is no longer just politics. Politics now determines whether you can afford fare, food, rent, or even survive the month. Back in 2021, when fuel prices hit around 150 shillings per litre, leaders allied to the then Deputy President William Ruto were everywhere condemning President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Speaker, I was in Busia County, represented by distinguished Amos Wanga. Mr. Speaker, there was a queue of vehicles of Kenyans crossing to Uganda to buy fuel. Fuel to Uganda, to Rwanda, to Burundi, to Eastern Congo is imported through Mombasa, passes through Kenya. How come fuel in Goma, Boni and Butembo in Congo is cheaper than fuel in Kenya? Mr. Speaker, it doesn't make any economic sense. What can you speak on taxation, Madam Speaker, for 2 minutes? And you turn progressively a House of Parliament into a voting machine. In fact, it becomes now an extension of the executive. People sit in the Treasury. They don't interact with ordinary people. They don't know how ordinary people are hurting. They simply think that tax the Kenyan as much as you can to solve your problems. Madam Speaker, I don't believe the explanation being channeled out, and I listen to proceedings in the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, rely on kerosene for lighting, for cooking. 100% of our economy relies on fuel, Madam Speaker. I cannot remember any time in the recent past when fuel prices went up to the extent that we saw recently. Kerosene alone went up by 12 shillings. Petrol, Madam Speaker, and as we are doing this, the price of crude worldwide is coming down. There is a girl a lady in one of the TV stations called Okwara. I saw her analyzing the price increases on TV, and she said the culprit is one, taxation. Who taxes Kenyans, Madam Speaker? It is not the executive. It is Parliament. We can't blame President Uhuru for levying taxes on Kenyans. He brings proposals. It's Parliament that taxes Kenyans. And the Parliament that is taxing Kenyans are the same ones standing up to apologize for taxing Kenyans. I even see some of them standing in field roads and decrying the high cost of fuel when they know it is them who have imposed on every liter of fuel we're paying taxes of up to 72 shillings. That is why, as I already read to you, landlocked countries that have nothing, how do you expect countries like Swaziland, a little island in the middle of South Africa with nothing, having fuel cheaper than Kenya, with all the bounty we have? How do you expect fuel moving from Mombasa for 2,000 kilometers to Butembo in Congo, and it is cheaper than here? And then, Madam Speaker, to add insult to injury, to take salt and wrap in a sore wound, we summon the minister responsible to come and explain to the House of the Representatives of the People of Kenya, and the minister doesn't show up, gives no explanation, doesn't care.
We have an economy and a country that is being run like a juakali. Why is the president so silent? The president should come out so loudly and save Kenyans. He is aware of it, and he is quiet in the State House when people are suffering.
They cannot bring their pride and arrogance to this house. We will deal with them. We will not entertain that kind of rudeness, that kind of indecency.
Our leadership has failed. There is nothing to hide.
We will carry your cross. Handshake government must be accountable to the people of Kenya for the things they did for the last 4 years.
The message was simple. Life is becoming unbearable. Fast forward to 2026, fuel prices are now reportedly crossing shocking levels, going past 240 Kenyan shillings, and suddenly the same leaders have gone quiet. So, what changed? The fuel or the seats they occupy? Because when you are in opposition, you have the freedom to condemn pain, but once in government, silence becomes strategy.
How come that fuel in Uganda is cheaper than fuel in Kenya? So, and yet the fuel being sold in Uganda goes through Kenya.
Even President William Ruto himself questioned why fuel in Uganda appears cheaper than fuel in Kenya. At the same time, Senator Mutuse claimed Kenyans should direct their anger towards global events, including tensions involving Iran and international oil markets.
Nyinyi mnasema imepanda, ndio imepanda, na sisi wote tunataka ishuke, lakini tunataka mueleza wananchi ukweli. Ule ambaye anataka mafuta ishuke, tufanye diplomasia, tutoke hapa, twende tukaongee na Trump, tumwambie awachane na vita Iran, ndio bei ya mafuta katika dunia mzima iweze kushuka chini.
And then comes Rigathi Gachagua.
I have received information that this profit that the president and his partners from increased fuel prices has been used to purchase tallow oil in Turkana at $120 million US, and that is approximately 15.6 billion shillings. That is why they are in a haste to buy, to increase prices, to make more profit, to be able to buy tallow oil that is in
Rigathi Gachagua. 2 weeks ago, Rigathi warned Kenyans there would be a 40 shillings increase in fuel prices. And true to that prediction, weeks later, the fuel prices went up by exactly 40 shillings. So, Gachagua went even further, claiming that on the night of April 5th and 6th, 2026, a high-powered Kenyan delegation allegedly traveled to Dubai, led by Energy CS Wandani, EPRA officials and oil stakeholders to renegotiate fuel prices arrangements with international suppliers.
Yes. Border riders will increase their charges because most industries use diesel. Consumer products will go up, and Kenyans in anguish. As we speak, many roads are empty. Kenyans are not able to fuel their vehicles, and we are staring at a national crisis, and things are very bad. And what we must tell the people of Kenya, the crisis that we face of increased prices for fuel has nothing to do with international challenges. It has nothing to do with the war in Iran. It has nothing to do with increased oil prices in the world. As I said the last time I talked about fuel, the crisis that we face is one of state capture and conflict of interest, where President William Ruto and Gulf Energy are the ones doing the business of fuel importation, and they have topped up too much profit to fleece the people of Kenya. The challenge that we face today has nothing to do with international prices, because when you look at the neighboring East African countries who are importing oil from the same source in the Middle East, their prices are down. Why the prices here are up is because President William Ruto, his business partners, Gulf Energy, are taking too much profit to fleece the people of Kenya. If you look at the comparison, today as we speak, in Kenya, petrol is 214 Kenya shillings. Diesel is 243 Kenya shillings. Our neighbors here in Uganda, who bring their fuel through Kenya from Mombasa by road, which means their fuel is supposed to be higher than Kenya.
According to Rigathi, that ship is connected to the current painful prices Kenyans are seeing today. And suddenly, the same man, yule wa shares, yule Mkabila, and once the closest ally of Ruto, is now positioning himself as one of the loudest critics of the government. But is Rigathi Gachagua truly trying to rescue Kenyans, or is he simply a bitter former insider trying to remain politically relevant after falling out with his former boss? Because according to Gachagua himself, Ruto allegedly promised he would become politically irrelevant after he was forcibly kicked out of the government.
Most of you, unavutwa tu kazi ya supervisor, unaanza kunywa dawa. Wengine wanajinyonga, wengine wanakuwa devastated, they cannot recover. Mimi nilinyang'anywa kazi, nimetafuta ya deputy president. Nimetafuta 7.2 million people wamenipigia kura, nimenyang'anywa. Today, the history of Rigathi Gachagua is clear. Nobody can stop your destiny. When William Ruto aliamua kunitoa, alidanganywa na hii kijana anaitwa Ichung'wa ya Kikuyu. Ati ukitoa hii mtu, wiki mbili atasaulika. Atakuwa amehurika, hataweza hata ongea. He will never be able to face anybody because of shame. And Ruto was convinced. Today, they talk about Rigathi Gachagua from morning to evening. Their greatest headache in Kenya is Rigathi. Sindio? They are spending almost about 50 million every month. National Intelligence Service.
And ever since then, Rigathi has had something to say about almost everything. The matatu sector is now warning Kenyans that things could become even worse. Some operators are threatening nationwide protest and possible strikes if nothing changes.
I want to ask, if our fuel comes from the Strait of Hormuz, what war have we gone as Kenyans? Ni vita gani tumeingia? There are many other countries that produce oil. Don't force us into a war that we did not start and we're not interested in. If this government is interested in joining the war in Israel, let the individuals raise their hands. Buy oil from anywhere and everywhere. EPRA was set with the hope that it would actually regulate this industry to the benefit of society. Now, EPRA has become the biggest place for cartels to tax Kenyans to death.
On Monday, there will be strictly no movement of any vehicles, or the roads will be blocked until the government listens to our cry, because we've been promised, and everything we are promised has not come to fruition. And lastly, we are urging all our investors in the public transport that effective immediately, we are increasing our fares by 50%.
We know very well, and I want it to go very clear, that our tourists are going to be affected as we are going to stage this demonstration. The tourism department and ministry should be aware that many tourists are going to get stuck, and they are not going to be able to reach their destination.
All transport network companies, wherever they are, be aware that we are going to increase our prices by 50% because we don't have the mechanism. We are going to take it upon ourselves. And I caution you, please, don't dare block any driver. Don't dare block any driver. If you don't want to go the hard way, ensure that you cooperate. For our client, you know what is happening. It's beyond our measures.
Others have warned that fares could increase by 50%, meaning if you were paying 50 Kenyan shillings to town or to CBD, you will now start paying 100 Kenyan shillings, and when fuel prices go up, everything else follows. Transport, food, electricity, construction, and even business operations. This is why fuel prices are one of the most politically sensitive issues in any country, because the moment fuel prices rises, the cost of living rises with it. Just last month, April, EPRA increased fuel prices before government interventions and subsidy announcement reportedly led to slight reductions in petrol and diesel cost. But barely weeks later, prices are now rising again. And Kenyans are asking, where is the Serikali ya Mamboga? Where is the Asla nation that promised economic relief? Because for many citizens, life is no longer about surviving month to month. It is becoming about surviving day to day. As economic frustration grows, the opposition is also becoming stronger, and for the first time in months, opposition voices are now becoming to unite around one mission: stopping William Ruto from returning to power. And once again, the name of former Chief Justice David Maraga is returning to the national conversations.
One person I have heard talk quite clearly is Maraga. He talks about the law. We shall adhere to the law. Okay?
Speaking recently in Kitui County,
wale ambao wameangalia, nimetembea Kenya. I've gone to 43 counties. The Kenyans are paining. The Kenyans are paining and paining very, very badly. Kitu nakubaliana na nyinyi ya kwamba it will be a terrible thing, and I have said this before, it will be a tragedy if we allow Ruto to come back. It will be a terrible tragedy if we allow Ruto to come back. Why? Because since Ruto came to power, everything he has come up with, every program he has come up with is a program that is meant to loot the resources of the Kenyan people. He came with SHA, he came with e-citizen, he has now come with housing, he is coming up with some project of mega projects. Ameuza Safaricom shares, ameuza pipeline.
According to many citizens online, Maraga represents integrity, discipline, and credibility. But politics in Kenya is not won by credibility alone. Elections are won through coalitions, money, mobilization, grassroots structures, tribal arithmetic, and political networks. And that is where the challenge begins. Because many Kenyans admire Maraga, but Kenya is not always kind to quiet and principled leaders. Kenyan politics rewards noise, drama, mobilization, and political machinery. And that's why figures like Rigathi Gachagua still remain politically relevant. Because whether people love him or hate him, Ricky G understands political survival. So, while Maraga may appear presidential to many citizens, the road to State House is a completely different battlefield. And as the opposition quietly begins forming alliances against William Ruto, the biggest question is whether they can unite long enough to challenge him effectively in 2027, or will personal interest destroy the alliances before 2027 even arrives. Inside ODM, another political storm is brewing, and things are becoming messier.
The National Treasury of the Republic of Kenya is not a personal office. The National Treasury of the economy, of the largest economy in East and Central Africa, is not a platform for you to abuse us and talk to us however you want.
Yesterday, niliona watu wengine tried to advise me how to be a minister for finance. You can't. You have no capacity to advise me. I have been chairman of ODM under Raila Odinga for 10 years. It's not a mean achievement. I have been minority leader for 5 years. It's not a mean achievement. I am now minister for 2 years. It's not a mean achievement. I was assistant minister in the office of the Prime Minister. It's not a mean achievement. You can't come from nowhere to start advising me. First, seek an elected position, be elected, and then people will start also nurturing you as a leader going forward.
Previously, Treasurer CS John Mbadi recently appeared to criticize unnamed individuals within ODM who allegedly keep hiding behind the legacy of Raila Odinga to control party directions.
This is a national party. ODM does not belong to the Luo community. It does not belong to a family. You know, we have a party where someone, because she is sister of a party leader, she thinks she can also order us around. You cannot keep us back. Baba said this. Baba did not say this. Where is that Baba now to give us the evidence whether he said or he did not say?
They are gone. And sometimes I hear people asking, where are they now? I don't want to answer them, but I will just remind them of what some scholars had said in history. In the book of Shakespeare, it says a very obvious thing, that no life lives forever, and a dead man rises up never. And that's how we all know that. But at the same time, in Professor Mbithi's book of the religions, African religion studies, he says that so long as people are remembering you, so long as, even if you're dead, people are mentioning your name, he talks of the living dead. And when he talks of the living dead, I think he's talking about Raila, talking about Jaramogi, talking about those great people who are left us physically, but their spirit is here with us.
But according to John Mbadi, the ODM isn't a political dynasty. It belongs to the people, and that statement alone seems to have offended the whole Odinga family.
I still will stand with my biggest stand is that it is too soon for us to forget the legacy of Raila Amolo Odinga. Na kama watu wanaongea Naona mnaongea ni kama mnasawanga. Msisahau ile spirit hata imekuwa hapa ni spirit ya Raila Amolo Odinga. Ni kweli ama sio kweli?
Kweli.
Na kile nimesema hata watanipiga ni kitu nilisema hata kwa kifo ya Raila Amolo Odinga. Nilisema kama artist, kama watu wa ODM na mnisamehe kama tumegawanyika. Jana mliona hiyo tifa imesema we are still the largest party which is available, and that availability of us as being the largest party, tukisalambatika kidogo hatutakuwa tuungane na nyinyi ama na mtu yeyote ndio tuende kwa strong table. That is very simple language and nobody should confuse it. Raila alipenda kila mtu. Hakuna mtu hapa hajapita kwa mkono ya Raila. Hata ilikuwa ni Governor Ongwae. Janet, you made ODM. I remember Janet Ongeri. You are here. All these people who are here have played a role in what you call making ODM. ODM was not made yesterday by small children who now think that ODM ni kitu yao ya kuchezea, ya kuambia kwa watu ati Kaluma nasema Ruto Odinga toka kwa party. Natoka ninaenda wapi na nini nilianza ODM?
But yet again, where is Oburu Odinga, the man who was left with the mantle? Because while the whole family seems offended, he is silent yet again. Some argue that Odinga family sacrificed everything for the party and deserves respect. Even leaders who had previously distanced themselves from ODM, including Babu Owino, are now jumping into the debate, calling people not for unity but to exit the party and join them.
Mrengo wa Linda Mwananchi haina ubaguzi. Umeona Linda Mwananchi iko na principles wengi sana hapa. Na katika ile timu ya Linda Ground umeona hakuna watu huko. Wale watu wa ODM walibaki na chama. Watu wa Linda Mwananchi walibaki na wananchi na wenye chama. Kwa hivyo dada yangu venye alikuwa hapa Winnie Odinga, nilikuwa nataka nimwambie na ninajua atapata hii ujumbe. You must move away from that pond and come to the ocean. This is where there is life. Kwa sababu saizi hii ODM yenye iko sahi si ile ODM ya Raila Amolo Odinga. Hii ni ODM bandia.
Further dividing the party. The question now becomes, can ODM survive the post-Raila transition without tearing itself apart? Because for years, ODM and Raila Odinga have almost felt inseparable. But now, even insiders are openly questioning what the future of the party looks like after Baba is gone. Kenyan politics is becoming more emotional, and emotions can be very dangerous because Kenya has already seen what happens when politics stop being about ideas and starts becoming about anger, identity, and division. It was these same emotions that exploded during the 2007 post-election violence, a dark period that left the country deeply divided and changed the political direction of Kenya forever. Communities turned against each other, neighbors became enemies, and thousands of innocent Kenyans paid the price for political battles they never created. And now, many fear that those emotions are slowly returning. Today, political loyalty is once again becoming tribal and personal. In some spaces, especially online, there's growing hostility toward anyone seen supporting certain political leaders. The message being pushed by extremists is simple. If you're from Murima, you should not support William Ruto. And that should worry every Kenyan, regardless of political side. Because democracy cannot survive if citizens are threatened, attacked, or silenced simply because of who they support politically. Reports recently emerged of a woman allegedly attacked with acid after tattooing President Ruto's face on her shoulder. And while investigations and facts around the incidents remain important, the reaction online exposed something much deeper: political intolerance. In today's Kenya, supporting a politician can turn you into a target, online, socially, or even physically. And if Kenya never fully learned from the wounds of 2007, then this may be more than just political tension. It may be a warning sign. President William Ruto has repeatedly assured Kenyans that the 2027 elections will be peaceful, fair, and free from violence. But the bigger question is, will words alone be enough? Because online, the country appears extremely angry, polarized, and anti-Ruto in many conversations. Yet, on the ground, the political reality is often more complicated. Crowds still attend rallies, support bases still exist, alliances are shifting quietly behind the scenes. And that is what makes Kenya's politics so unpredictable. The danger begins when citizens stop seeing each other as fellow Kenyans and start seeing each other only through political tribes and party lines. Because once politics becomes emotional warfare instead of democratic competition, ordinary citizens are always the first to suffer while politicians move on and make deals behind closed doors. As we close today's episode of Keeping Up with Kenya's political drama, what started as a light moment quickly turned into a deeper national conversation. During a funeral service in Kisii, Senator Richard Onyanka introduced his children to the public in what many saw as warm and wholesome family moment.
So what I'm going to speak English. How are you? My name is Papa Owino. My dad, we have the same forehead and the same posture. Senator Onyanka, thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jaden Ngweni. My mother is Judith Karubo.
My name is Lucas James, and he's my dad.
Waride Abanto Baito. Jina langu ni Baraka Zachary Joseph. Mimi ni mtoto wa Senator Onyanka.
Hey. My name is Audrey Nyaboke. My mother is Judith Karubo.
Hi, my name is Mora Onyanka. I am the firstborn of Senator Onyanka and my mother, Flora. Thanks. Do you want to say your name?
My name is Nyaboke Damien. My mother is Lucy Mbogwa. My father is Onyanka Richard.
Haya, wairire bia. Mimi naitwa Trevor Kiaka, first son of Jacqueline Omoke. Na nafanya kama engineer hapa county, nimekuja kusaidia na mambo ya maendeleo. Mbarikiwe.
Habari zenu. My name is Nicole Nyaboke. My mom is Jacqueline Kwamboka Omoke.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Teresia Nyaboke. I am the second-born daughter of Senator Onyanka.
Good afternoon, you all. My name is Christopher Onyanka, and I am the son to Senator Richard Onyanka, and my mother is Jane Wanjiru.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Craig Zachary. I'm the son to Richard Onyanka and Emily Marube.
My name is Natania Nyaboke. My father is Richard Onyanka and my mother is Beatrice Lisa.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jasmine Mora, and then my dad is Peter Omoke.
Hi, everyone. My name is Steve Onyanka, and I'm the son to Richard Onyanka.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zachary Onyanka, and I'm the son of Richard Onyanka and the son of Beatrice Lisa. Mas Momoima Onyanka. Amen.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Nyatichi Mogira, mother to Jace Nishani.
I wasn't lying, right? So these are the ones who could make it here today. These are the ones who could make it here today. The others... Okay, order.
But as always in Kenyan politics, social media has a different conversation. Many Kenyans were quick to point out that the painful reality of how politics often works in this country. That while ordinary Kenyans are sent to the front lines of political battles, the children of powerful politicians are usually kept far away from the chaos. Young people are paid a few hundred shillings to throw stones, disrupt meetings, fight online wars, or defend politicians who may never even know their names. Meanwhile, the sons and daughters of the political class are studying abroad, building careers, living protected. And maybe that is the biggest lesson Kenya still needs to learn. In politics, leaders may fight publicly, but it is usually the citizens who suffer the real consequences privately. And as we come to the end of today's episode, one thing has become very clear. Kenya is entering one of its most politically and economically tense moments in recent years. The fuel prices are rising, the cost of living keeps getting heavier, former allies are turning against each other, the opposition is regrouping, ODM is facing internal battles, and the road to 2027 is slowly beginning to take shape. But beyond the noise, rallies, hashtags and political drama, ordinary Kenyans are the ones feeling the real pressure. The mama mboga, the student, the boda rider, the unemployed youth, the struggling parent trying to survive another month in a difficult economy. Because politics is never just politics. Politics affects transport, food, jobs, security, and the future of an entire generation. And as emotions continue rising across the country, Kenya must be careful not to repeat the mistakes of the past. History has already shown us what happens when political differences turn into hatred and division. As politicians continue building alliances, breaking friendships, exposing secrets, and preparing for 2027, the biggest question remains: who is truly fighting for Kenyans and who is simply fighting for power? This has been episode 2 of Keeping Up with Kenya's political drama, where we break down the headlines, the chaos, the alliances, and the reality behind Kenyan politics. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and comment, and of course, subscribe, and most importantly, stay informed. Because in Kenya, politics doesn't just happen in parliament. Politics follows you all the way to the fuel station, the supermarket, the matatu stage, and even your dining table. I'll see you in the next episode.